Goodness, how does someone follow an introduction like that? Good morning on this fine wet day of ours. What a pleasure it is to be back in Clinton for such a wonderful occasion. What a pleasure it is to see your mayor, my brother, who I must add also served his country in the Army to the rank of captain. 48 years ago, this past June, I graduated and received my degree and commission here in Clinton at Presbyterian College. I never imagined that I would stay and retire from the Army in 2007, 35 years later as a colonel. However, those years brought me both satisfaction and tremendous pride, as it allowed me to serve with some of the best people I've ever known and the best this country has to offer. I feel so incredibly grateful for the service of both our veterans and the currently serving military personnel. I was asked to share with you a few of my memories this morning of my 35 years of Army service. Thankfully, I served long enough to see a wonderful and respectful swing back from the way our servicemen and women were treated from the Vietnam 60s and 70s. Our service members were absolutely shamefully treated during that period. I don't want to interrupt Don, but this is a regular occurrence in Clinton, and we can pause for about 2 minutes to let the train get through so you can hear it, because I think you're aware of how many trains come through right now and how much noise it makes.
Not me.
Thankfully, that was a short one. As I was saying, I served long enough, and thankfully, I saw a change in the way our service people were treated from the Vietnam era. That period, frankly, was horrible. I think it was very disrespectful to our service people who served honorably. They were treated terribly. They couldn't even wear their uniforms of the country they served. Despite this abuse, service members continued their incredible service to the tune, and they gave significantly 58,000 of them, over 58,000, gave their lives. And others gave emotionally and physical, as well as their wounds there. I'm grateful that most of our nation has matured and now acknowledges the many wrongs that were committed against these courageous veterans. Other more gratifying experiences I remember are med-readies. Those are medical missions in some of the most incredibly poor and remote areas of the world, where local patients would often walk 40 miles round trip through some incredibly rough terrain just to be treated by our doctors, our dentists, our technicians, often with very limited anesthesia. I remember nation-building campaigns that consisted of building roads and schools, personnel recoveries, and restoring basic services after a natural disaster throughout the world. I remember deployments and having good friends say they would pray for me to take care of my family when I was gone. I remember monitoring battles and firefights that I knew were going very poorly for us, and the intense feeling of frustration we all had not been able to provide immediate and direct assistance to our personnel. I remember attending numerous memorial services for those service members we lost, and acting as a casual assistance officer and a presiding officer at the funeral of one of my own NCOs. I remember losing a number of friends, good friends, with the 101st Airborne Division as they were returning to Sinai in the Nova Scotia crash, with a total loss of all life on that aircraft. Between the Gulf Wars, I had memorable experiences commanding a battalion in Puerto Rico at Fort Buchanan that so admirably served in the Gulf Wars. Those soldiers made me very, very proud to have served with them. I remember supporting the shutdown of Fort Clayton and the turnover of the Panama Canal. And my Puerto Rican soldiers, all of them musicians and vocalists, serenading all of Panama in Spanish, via live stream broadcast from Panama City. I remember reporting to the United States Southern Command headquarters for the first time on September 12th, the very day after the terrorist attack on the Twin Towers. And for the next 16 months, I remember rarely being home or sleeping more than just a few hours at a time. I remember that after 4 years after their shoot down, despite our best efforts, that we had 3 Americans being held hostage in the Colombian jungle by the FARC, a U.S. designated martial terrorist organization. I remember Guantanamo Bay, walking a detainment facility that I helped build and staff that held some of the most dangerous terrorists and highly trained killers in the world. And our military personnel removing or covering their name tags in order to ensure anonymity and the safety of their family members back here. I remember the Haiti crisis and scrambling a 40-man Marine quick reaction team from our embassy to the National Palace to prevent the fall of a new fledgling government to a well-armed and hostile crowd that wanted to take control of the palace and the country. And I remember how proud I was of those 40 U.S. Marines at the palace fence line, facing down a large mob of criminal and renegade ex-military personnel, nearly 50 times their size, preserving the newly elected Haitian government. And after many long days and sleepless nights, at 5:30 on a Sunday morning, in February 2004, after calling in and briefing the Southcom Chief of Staff on an all-night firefight that our Marines were engaged in with armed gangs in the Port-au-Prince area, I remember scaring my wife to death by having a heart attack in the Joint Operations Intelligence Center at Southcom. In that last assignment of mine at U.S. Southern Command, a Joint Forces Command, with responsibility for the operations throughout our world's southern hemisphere, I was very fortunate to work for the first time with all our great military service branches, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Coast Guard, as well as other key governmental agencies closely working together to support and protect our nation and our great people. What a wonderful eye-opening experience that was for a career Army guy like me that thought everybody should be green and previously thought that everybody had to be green. Take it from me, we had some amazing and extremely dedicated people serving in our military branches. And I remember my retirement in July 2007 and my very mixed feelings about the ceremony at that time. Without exception, these many experiences have all shaped me into becoming who I am today. And I feel so incredibly honored to have served this country we share. I am proud to be an American with freedoms and opportunities most of the world can only dream of. Freedoms bought and paid for by men and women far better than me. I believe with all my heart, our veterans are truly a national treasure. Ordinary people performing extraordinary and sacrificial services for love of country and their comrades. Service members who, when they go home at night, for security purpose, they can't even talk with their loved ones about what they did that day. Their duty and selfless sacrifice honors us all. I, for one, feel I was called to military service. Admittedly, it was hard and very demanding at times. Several times I almost gave it up. But I simply couldn't leave something I felt called to do and something that gave me a great deal of pleasure and satisfaction. It was service that I felt could hopefully make a change and a difference in the world. It was service that supported my core values. When I look at the Soldier's Creed and the Army values, I see values that are basically values that are my own. Never accepting defeat, never leaving the fallen cock, loyalty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. I may not always succeed. The bar is purposely high, but these are values I hold dear and are wholly consistent with my religious faith. While we honor our veterans today, we cannot do this without first honoring the sacrifices of their families. My wife, Twila, sacrificed far more than I ever did, but her sacrifices allowed me to do what I loved and felt compelled to do. Veterans could not do what they do without the strong support of their families. In closing today, I would like to acknowledge and give a shout out to one of your own. Early in my career, I was extremely fortunate to be tutored by an exceptional man, an NCO from Lawrence County, Sergeant First Class J.C. Smoot. With my many assignment changes, I lost contact with Sergeant Smoot. J.C. had me by a couple years, but he is still on the green side of this earth in Lawrence County. I would love to see that gentleman again and fill in about 30 years of open blanks and chew the fat with him. I owe him considerable thanks for both his wisdom and tutelage. On this very special day, I pray God continues to bless our veterans, their families, and this great nation of ours. Thank you.
Daddy got me crying. So Daddy got me all crying.
Thank you, Colonel McLean, and thank you for your service, and also for being my brother. The 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, Veterans Day. November 11th is the day that we as a nation come together to celebrate, remember, and honor our veterans for their service to our country. Today we honor our heroes, remember their achievements, their courage, their dedication, and most importantly, say thank you for their sacrifices. The service members we honor today came from all walks of life, but they shared several fundamental qualities. They possessed courage, pride, determination, integrity, and a dedication to duty. We've all heard this saying that freedom is not free, and that's very true. For over 200 years, our service members have bought and paid for the freedoms we enjoy today. Freedoms which many take for granted and our enemies seek to destroy. I ask that you pray for our veterans and service members who at this very moment are deployed around the world, protecting the freedoms we enjoy in our way of life. Pray for their safety. Most of all, thank a veteran today. I was in Lowe's Sunday afternoon picking up something, and every time I go to Lowe's, which is a lot because I do a little remodeling business, the person at the register always says, thank you for your service. You know, it means a lot to hear those two words. Thank you. Two words that we should use a lot more often. We'd be a lot better off if we used them a lot more often. Thank you. So once again, thank you for attending today's ceremony, and thank you to all our veterans. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Good day.